Hey, how you doing, everybody? Hope your Saturday is a good one. Wow, I hadn't wanted to comment on this, but for me, this is now unavoidable. Chris Cuomo, who was the longtime New York sports radio host turned broadcaster on CNN and host of his own popular, or once popular because he doesn't have it anymore, late night or primetime political talk show, has been sacked by CNN after having been suspended for his role in helping his brother, the now former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, fight sexual harassment allegations from the state of New York. And I thought when CNN suspended Chris, it was going to be a temporary thing, if you will, kind of like what Jeffrey Tubin went through. Uh, Remember what he did? But as of today, that's not the case. So if you're just catching up with this and saying, okay, what's going on here? Um, the Andrew Cuomo is Chris Cuomo's brother. Their father is the late legendary Mario Cuomo, governor of New York, almost president of the United States, someone that I hoped and prayed would become president of the United States. But he lost and still took with him an amazing reputation and legacy as an effective Democratic politician. It was left for his sons, to carry on his name. And Andrew Cuomo essentially did that by becoming governor. But he had I think part of it could be called a cultural norm of a sort that is under attack today. The friendly, handsy man who likes to kiss babies, kiss ladies, make comments about women and how their appearance, all of that, which at one point in our society for a very long time was a norm, but is not a norm, and its fall from normalcy, for want of a better term, has been stunning. A true jarring cultural shift for a number of people, and not just men, but people of some cultures who are used to hugging, kissing, being close, and that has become under attack by a kind of an internet-based, introverted culture, and this is one of its casualties. Okay, this is one of its victims. It's or you could look at it this way: it's one of its skins on the wall. Andrew Cuomo. And if you think about it, even then, prior to that, they tried to get Joe Biden for hugging everybody. And you had some people, Democrats running for office, who were photographed hugging Joe Biden, but then would turn around and say Joe Biden put their hands on that person. And there was one person in Nevada who ran for office who tried that stunt, and it backfired when all of these photographs popped up with her hugging Joe Biden, basically getting to the front of what we call the conga line to be photographed by him, and then in turn photographing him and having her hands on him. It was entirely hypocritical. So, but that engine, if you will, of cultural behavior, still new, has sought out a number of victims, and one of them was Andrew Cuomo, who really wasn't getting it, and in a sense played along by not adjusting and changing his behavior in a very powerful political role. His brother, Chris Cuomo, was not one to stay in the background. Chris Cuomo, who by his nature is kind of pugilistic, saw this as the ultimate battle to save his brother, And as it turned out, with all of the evidence rolling out, he was more than heavily involved. He was getting other journalists to help him out. He was bird dogging people who were accusing his brother of those actions. In short, he was a ringleader. Okay, he was a ringleader, and excuse me, folks, I'm just having a little headache up here. I don't know what that was going on. It was like a pressure there, and where that's coming from, I do not know. I need aspirin, I think. I'm just saying that candidly on the air. So all that together led to Chris Cuomo's suspension. But now, today, he's been fired. And according to New York Post, embattled, CNN anchor Chris Cuomo has been fired by the network. I'm reading down here. I'll show you what I'm reading, okay? See that? That's what I'm reading, okay? So you wonder... I'm not shifty-eyed because of my brain hurting here, okay? It does hurt a little bit, but I think I need new contact lenses. But I digress. Embattled CNN anchor Chris Cuomo has been fired by the network in the wake of new revelations about his close involvement with the political woes, of his brother, former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Quote, "This is not how I want my time at CNN to end," Cuomo said in a statement issued by a representative. "But I have already told you why and how I helped my brother," he continued. And this goes on to read, CNN confirmed the firing in a statement and said that Cuomo had been, quote, "terminated effective immediately as an outside law firm continues to investigate, quote, his involvement with his brother's defense." Now, I'll tell you straight up how I feel about this. That's his brother. That's his family. And if he feels that his brother has been wronged in some kind of way, then all the norms that guide his life have gone out the window. And now he feels like he's fighting not just for his brother's reputation, but really also for his own. And now really the fight has taken on another level because he was fired, which means two things. First of all, no, he can't come on CNN on his own. It doesn't mean he can't be invited back as a guest, but it means that he is more emboldened to prove that there was something wrong done to his brother than he would normally be if he were not suspended or if he were not fired, even though he was suspended, okay? This is sort of, for a guy like Chris, poking him, saying, come on, what else you got? So Chris is not going to go quietly through the night on this. And not only that, I think he has good reason not to, in the form of the New York Attorney General, who first filed claims against his brother and then turned around and announced that she's running for governor. I'm sorry. Yep, sister, I support in politics, absolutely me, African American, but not to that point, okay? That looks as dirty as anything that Andrew Cuomo or Chris Cuomo has been accused of. I mean, think about it. You have the New York Attorney General leading the charge in investigating the governor of New York, and then once the investigation is done, she turns around and announces that she's running for governor. On what planet does that not look clean? Again, on what planet does that not look clean? All right? And so this is what hurts my party, the Democratic Party. We have good people in office that it seems of late, and I used the example of Joe Biden earlier, when he was running for president, who we aim the seemingly insurmountable claim of sexual harassment at them, or groping at them, or anything something like that. But it's all to stop them from achieving a higher political office and ostensibly getting somebody else, right? that's how this has been used. It is essentially ascension by character assassination. Democrats doing this to Democrats. You don't see Republicans doing this to each other. Think about it, okay? This is Democrats doing this to Democrats. That's what we have here. So as much as we might say, oh, the Democratic Party is fine and the Republican Party is splintered, no, the Democratic Party is also splintered because of the way we are trying to say who gets into power or keeps it. And it's not so much, well, yeah, you better keep your life clean. Of course you should, right? But it's wrong to then turn around and make up something about someone else. And I again point out how Joe Biden was treated by some people in the party when he was running for president. I mean, everybody knew that it was inevitable he was going to be the next president of the United States. We did not have another viable candidate. And arguably, going forward, we don't yet have a candidate I consider fully viable. Okay? In terms of who will elect them. I'll tell you, I'm starting to like, Tim Ryan, for example, is one possibility, but I don't know if he's going to, put his hat into the ring. Kamala Harris is the next logical choice, but the party is aiming at her now. Okay? This is Biden doing it to her. You see, it's not one way. It's not, well, she attacked him for being racist, and now she's vice president. No, it's like you have this other attack squad that's after her, which is also a Democratic attack squad. Think about it. I mean, who does this help at the end of the day? The people doing it? Not really, because they just make themselves targets for the next group that's pissed off with them. So again, it's Democrat versus Democrat doing this. Which means what? We don't get a great candidate. We turn around and we lose elections like we lost to Virginia. Terry McAuliffe should have won. He didn't. But think about why we lost Virginia. My contention is that we lost Virginia because, again, we focused on the national scale on what we focused on the inter-party scale. That is character assassination. Oh, you can't possibly want to elect this person because he sided with Donald Trump. Well, that's not enough. Okay? That's not enough. It isn't enough because we're in the middle of a pandemic. Hello? People are still losing their clients. Hello? Okay? We have people leaving the standard labor force in record numbers. Hello? In the middle of all of this. And on top of that, we are still $3 trillion short from putting money into the economy to get us back to normal. All right? I had projected $9.8 trillion. Hey, I was pretty close as to what we would need to inject into the economy to lift the economy up again. But I digress. The point that I'm making is that we, as Democrats, have done this thing about character assassination of each other, and it continues. And so Chris Cuomo, I predict, will lay waste to certain elements of the Democratic Party, even if it means that we lose certain elections. I'm calling that out now as a possibility, all right? Because the weakness is there to be exploited by somebody. It just is. We've been asking for it for too long. Going around and trying to find out what's wrong with each other, making things up about each other, and then hoping it sticks. We did that with Donald Trump, and it didn't work for us. Remember when Trump was running and all this stuff came up about him? But guess what? It just propelled him right into the White House. It doesn't work all the time, folks, this character assassination stuff. And what does it do when the economy gets worse? it becomes more irrelevant. Why? Because you're dealing with kitchen table issues. And if people can't put food on the table, and the people who can't do that are in record numbers, they don't care about such issues as who Andrew Cuomo hugged, who may have hugged him back, who may be a close assistant to him, which gets to another point that I have. What does it say for people who are close to you as the governor and yet see your bad behavior but won't tell you about it and won't demand that you get better as a person? In other words, they won't be a friend and say, hey, by the way, you're screwing up. All right? That's what friends do. That's what loyalists do. They try to help the people who they represent. But it's quite clear that the governor, now former, of New York, did not have and was not surrounded by those kinds of people. That's horrible. I'm not defending what Cuomo is accused of doing. Although I did see videos where he hugged somebody and they hugged him back. So, because that's a hug, but then you turn on the same person complains about him later. Why didn't you just tell him right then, hey, you didn't want to be hugged that way? Okay, fine. All right? Then all this stuff was, well, I'm afraid of what he might do. Oh, give me a break. That's the lamest excuse I've ever heard. It just is. But that's how the Democratic Party has sunk, folks. We don't care to get money to the people who need it the most. We want to pretend like we're doing it, but in the background, we want to defend organizations like Bank of America who are screwing over their customers over the payroll protection loan program. That is a fact. We want to feign like we're socialists and all of this stuff, but in point of fact, we're as capitalist as the next person. It's a joke and a sad one. And the American people are going to find it out, and we're going to start losing more and more elections as Democrats. We need to stick to kitchen table issues and let that be that. Because I'm telling you, Chris Cuomo is coming for us. And I don't blame him. All right. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com.